Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. First of all, if you haven't checked out my previous video, make sure you do at the end of this one as they go hand in hand regarding the NHL draft lottery. So I just want to make one quick statement, and it won't be long because I'm sure some people watching this video are watching for the purpose of getting away from everything else going on in the world. So for those people, I apologize, but I'll make this brief. As we all know, there's a lot going on in the United States and globally too, with a lot of things happening. And I just want to say, for anyone that is being active or participating or not, just make sure you're please be safe, love one another. I understand your frustration, anger, I truly do, but things can be handled in a rightful manner, and there's a time and place for everything. So all I care about is everyone just being safe, being level-headed too. Please be open-minded as well. Don't be closed-minded in a time like this, of course. And all I care about is that everyone just stays safe, do the right thing, and good things will prevail. Yes, this is an untimely and really uncomfortable situation that so many people are going through right now, especially in the United States, but things can be handled in the right manner. And please, if you want to make a difference, please go and do so in which you feel is best fit. But in my personal opinion, I don't view violence as one of them. No one deserves to be hurt, and other things, of course. But that's all I really want to say. I just hope the best for everyone in these uncertain times, and that everyone is safe and doing their due diligence if they wish regarding everything going on currently. But with all those things being said, let's start off. What teams are really have the most to lose from the NHL draft lottery? Well, I touched on it kind of briefly in my previous video as I discussed teams that will benefit the most from the NHL draft lottery. But to expand on that more, what is the NHL draft lottery? Well, I'm going to just summarize it quick because I explained it furthermore in my previous video. The draft lottery that is happening on June 26th, that was pushed, of course, because of the ongoing pandemic, not just across the country but globally. Because of that, there is going to be a difference in the lottery format. You of course have teams that are going to go for the lottery picks 1, 2, and 3, but there will be placeholder teams as well, and those placeholder teams will be of course the play-in teams, the teams that lose in the play-in rounds before they actually make the first round of playoffs. So if say a lottery pick is chosen one or more by a placeholder team, whether it be teams A, B, C, D, etc., because there's a total of 8, then there will be a second draft lottery, a phase 2 draft lottery that will happen prior to the conference quarterfinals for the NHL playoffs. And whether that's say the first overall pick, the second, or multiple, the teams that lose in the play-in rounds will all have a equal % chance of winning that pick. So that comes into play right now with teams that can really have the most to lose from this situation. And I want to start off with, of course, the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings currently have an 18.5% chance of winning a lottery pick, given how they match up against some other teams that isn't great looking at it now, especially. The Senators have 2 first-round picks. They have 3 in total, but 2 really close to being top 3, possibly, with a total of 25% chance between the two. So that's higher versus the Red Wings, of course, and you have a total of 25% chance out of these 8 placeholder teams that have a chance of winning a lottery pick. So that's where it really comes into play and can hurt the Red Wings more. As we all know, the Red Wings were undoubtedly the worst team in the NHL this year and really deserving of a top 3, at least really a first overall pick. Getting a guy, a generational talent, whether it be Alexis Lafreniere, Quinn Byfield, Tim Stenzel, whoever it may be, that would do such a great job for them and really help boost their rebuild and have them a guy to rally around and be their generational talent, like I said, their leader going forward. But given the change in the draft lottery now, there is a possibility that the Red Wings won't just fall out of a lottery spot, but fall out of the top 3 and into the 4th overall pick. Now, while that pick won't be bad by any means, going from 1st to 4th technically is not looking good. I understand that this draft is very deep and deemed by many as the best draft in years. But regardless of that, going from a guy like, say, Alexis Lafreniere to out of the top 3 will definitely hurt the Red Wings, of course, and I know they don't want that to happen. So for all those reasons, and given how terrible of a season they have had, they definitely deserve to be at least in the top 3, really first overall, in my opinion. So if they do fall out of that, given the change in format, and say a placeholder team gets that first overall pick over them, then that is really going to hurt them, of course, and they don't deserve that. It's unfortunate given the situation with the ongoing pandemic, how that made the NHL pause and everything else regarding the playoff format of 24 teams and the lottery and it being postponed. I understand that none of that would have happened if the pandemic didn't happen, but because it is just an unfortunate situation for all, and the Red Wings do have a possibility of falling out of the top 3 in the lottery, and if that does happen, then that is really unfortunate for them. But next now, another team that can really have the most to lose from this draft lottery is, of course, the New Jersey Devils. The Devils currently have the 6th overall pick, which is their pick, the 10th overall pick that they acquired in the Taylor Hall trade with the Arizona Coyotes months ago, and the 12th overall pick that is from the Vancouver Canucks that was originally in the JT Miller trade last year for with the Tampa Bay Lightning, but that same pick was then used in the Devils trade with the Lightning, trading Blake Coleman and having the Vancouver pick come to the Devils. And the condition on that pick, though, is that if the Vancouver Canucks, and I touched on this also in my previous video, but if the Canucks do, say, lose that play-in round against the Minnesota Wild, then they will get back their first-round pick this year and instead will send a 2021 first to the Devils. And when it comes to the Coyotes, if the Coyotes, say, lose their play-in round and a placeholder team is picked or multiple for the lottery picks, and that in that second draft lottery, the Coyotes are chosen as one of those top 3 lottery picks, then they get their first round pick back as well, and then they also send off a 2020 first to the Devils instead. So the Devils, who looked like they were great in draft positioning just based on the standings, could go from, instead of having 3 first round picks with their conditions, to 1 first round pick. And that would really hit hard for them. As we all know, the Devils went into this season, the 2019-2020 season, thinking they have a chance of possibly making playoffs with acquiring guys like, of course, Nikita Gusev and, of course, PK Subban, Jack Hughes, who they drafted first overall last year, who has a lot to prove, of course, and he will, I'm sure. But everything seemingly went wrong for them. And because of those reasons, that's why they were one of the worst teams in the NHL this season. But if they go from having 3 first-round picks to 1 this year, that can really hurt them given just how deep this draft is supposed to be. So like I said, the percentage chance of this happening is small, but it is still a possibility, and because of that, I had to consider the Devils as one of the teams that have the most to lose, because honestly they do, given their conditional picks. But lastly now, the last team that I have that can really not benefit the most and really have the most to lose, as I mentioned, is the Carolina Hurricanes. I mentioned them in my previous video too, but just to touch on them more, they do have not really 2 first round picks. They have the 20th first round pick that is from the Toronto Maple Leafs that they acquired in the Patrick Marleau trade, where they obtained Patrick Marleau's contract just to eat that salary. Marleau never played a game with the Hurricanes, as we know, but it was just to get his contract off the books for the Toronto Maple Leafs sake of things. And in return, the Hurricanes acquired a first round pick from the Maple Leafs, but the condition was that the Maple Leafs do have a top 10 pick this year, then they will keep that pick and instead send a 2021 first round pick to the Carolina Hurricanes. And then the Rangers had the Carolina Hurricanes' other pick in the trade that they did with Brady Shea back at the deadline, the Rangers' former defenseman, and in return, the Rangers acquired the Carolina Hurricanes' first-round pick, which as of right now would be the 21st pick. But the condition is that if the Rangers will acquire whichever pick is worse between the two, essentially. So how this can really hurt the Carolina Hurricanes, yes, we know that the Hurricanes were one of the teams that did not want to do the 2014 playoff format. And yes, a part of the reason was, of course, playing the Rangers, as the Rangers have had their upper hand for quite some time. But regardless of that, if the Carolina Hurricanes, say, lose their playing round against the New York Rangers and the Toronto Maple Leafs lose their playing round against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they both, say, win a lottery pick, assuming that 2 lottery picks are chosen by a placeholder team in the first draft lottery, then the Rangers will get the Carolina Hurricanes first round pick, and the Maple Leafs will keep their first round pick as it gets in the top 10 in that top 3 lottery now. So the Hurricanes, who at least have 1 first round pick as of right now, could end up with none. And it really looks like it will hurt them the most, given the fact that they did not want to change to the 2014 playoff format, which would exclude the playing rounds if that didn't change, of course. And they also didn't want to play the Rangers. So the possibility of losing to the Rangers of all teams in the playing rounds and then losing both their first round picks because of the trade that they had with the Rangers is quite interesting, but it is very unfortunate for the Hurricanes given that situation, as they could not just not make playoffs because of a possible tough matchup in the Rangers, but not even have a first round pick because of playing the Rangers. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, but it is unfortunate for the Hurricanes' sake as the Maple Leafs, if they lose, which I don't necessarily see it happening, but they do lose their playing around and win a lottery pick, and the same thing happens with the Hurricanes, then like I just mentioned, the Hurricanes won't have any first-round picks this year. So that is really going to conclude this video. I just want to put that all out there. I touched on it previously in my last video, but I want to go further, more in deep with teams that really have the most to lose, and these definitely seems like the teams that do. And I didn't have the Senators in here just because the Senators do have 2 first-round picks in that top 3, essentially, that equal to 25%. So I don't see them falling out of that top 3. I could see maybe one of those picks, but 2 would be very unlikely, but obviously it is a possibility at the end of the day. But that's going to conclude this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What teams do you think have the most to lose from this draft lottery format? I would love to hear your feedback and your thoughts regarding not just this, but the 2014 playoff format as well. I would love to hear what teams you possibly think are going to have a deep run, or in general, which teams will benefit and not benefit the most from the draft lottery format. But if you haven't checked out my previous video, please do, as they go hand in hand regarding this topic and others. I'll have them right down here below for you. But with all those things being said, thank you all so much. Please like, subscribe, comment if you like this kind of NHL hockey content, and I'll be back in a day or two.